Hi, I'm back on my comfy sofa, and today we are going to debunk the myth of toxic leadership and toxic workplace culture. There are no such things, and I will tell you why, so you better get off that bandwagon that everybody is traveling on because it sounds good, it feels good to your soul, it doesn't require you to take responsibility, but that's just not true. Okay, and we will see why not. Hi, I'm Sylvia, an organizational psychologist, and last year I have written hundreds of articles and they were quite well received by the global community, and I was told to bring those articles online here to the YouTube community, so here I am. And today is all about what is toxic leadership and what is toxic workplace culture. Now, when you start looking into and take this concept apart, they don't stand the scrutiny for 2 seconds. They fall apart very, very quickly. I have my laptop, as I always do. I have prepared, so if I'm not looking at you, I am looking at the information just to stay on track. Now, toxic leadership. Let's start with that. You remember my videos between 20 to 30 minutes, so we're gonna make that quick one. So if you are a leader, a manager, a supervisor, or an employee, listen up, because you have fallen into this trap. And it's not serving anyone in organizations. Everywhere I go, the same problems are appearing. Or there are no rules, there are no responsibilities, my boss is very lenient, the other is not very lenient, and so on. And nobody knows. These poor leaders and managers are so confused what they're supposed to and not supposed to do, that it's just not working for anyone. And I guarantee you they cost money, organizations money, but we just can't put the amount to it. Now let's have a look what is happening. So toxic leadership is being thrown around so carelessly, and we don't have a clue what it actually means. I have written one article, and I will put all the articles below, that said or talked about toxic environment. And there is no such a thing either, because whatever environment I feel it's toxic for me, other people thrive in it. So it's toxic because it's incompatible with my values, with my views, with my level of integrity, with my level of competence, with my level of education, whatever that be, or with my inspiration and aspirations and what I want to be. So it's not that the culture or the environment is toxic. I am incompatible with it, and we come to it in a minute. It's basically the toxic culture, toxic work environment. Let's come back to the leadership. So I dare you to ask anyone at work when they say, oh, it's a toxic leader, what they mean. And I guarantee you that you will get no valuable answer. So I went online and I did my little research because I never get any useful answer. And here is a thing that this is what I found. And from micromanagement, arrogance, self-centered attitude, gossiping, nepotism, irritability, moodiness, incompetence, overconfident leader, ineffective management skill, shouting, now don't shout at employees, lack of support, lack of conflict management, no feedback, lack of direction and decision making, lack of integrity, favoritism, lack of empathy, demanding behavior, difficult to please, a disciplinarian, it's not even a word, is it a word? Disciplinarian, tolerating poor performance, actions that have adverse impact on others or the business, and so on, and so on, and so on. The research is endless. Now, we are very confused. This is my conclusion. We have no bloody idea what toxic leadership means. We just throw these words and then we can play the victim, right? But it's about time that everybody handed in their victim cards, because you are not a victim. None of us are. Now, I'm not saying we cannot end up in an environment where there is serious bad behaviors. I will talk about it in a little bit. but none of these are. They just create confusion. And if you look at, and I really want you to think about it, if you look at these words, arrogance, self-centered attitude, gossiping, nepotism, irritability, moodiness, incompetence, overconfident, bully, discrimination, harassment, hierarchy, lack of confidence, autocratic behavior, abuse of power, ineffective management skills, shouting, everything that I said, lack of direction, decision making. I want you to think about what does it all come down to? Incompetence. So we are confusing toxic leadership with incompetence, and that is the problem, because we are intellectually lazy and we don't look into things. We hear something that is really, oh yeah, it resonates with me, it's toxic. But we are intellectually lazy and don't look into it, and we don't scrutinize, we don't take it apart. What does it actually mean? So if you look at those ones, some of them are even contradict one another. One of them says micromanagement, some of them says no direction, no instruction, no. So what do we want? And most of them are related to competence and self-awareness, shouting, lack of empathy, etc., etc. Now, did I not tell you in my previous video that there is no leadership development without self-awareness development? That's the basis of competency development. But no, we don't want to hear, so you didn't listen, and this is where we ended up. Everybody is on the wrong bandwagon about toxic leadership, and toxic leadership is nothing more than ethical, either technical, I'll come back to the ethic in a minute, either technical or behavioral incompetence created and nurtured by the organizations themselves through poor hiring processes and promotional processes, lack of training and actions towards those who are adversely impacting the business and the workforce. This is what toxic leadership is. There is nothing. It's just incompetent leadership, and is basically nurtured by the organizations. Why? Because we don't develop self-awareness in leaders. We don't even develop them technically. We don't develop their behavior. We tell them, you need to be empathetic, and that's it, right? So we created this environment. Let me come back to ethics. Let me come back to bullying, harassment, and discrimination. Now, these are serious misconducts. Don't confuse the two. That is, do you want to say toxic? I wouldn't use the word toxic, because if you put two unethical people together or a group of it, they will be super happy. They are not going to think it's a toxic environment. They will be happy to discriminate. They will be happy to, make decisions that are illegal. And if you keep them together, they will never say it is a toxic leadership. The moment you bring someone in who has different values, right? Ethical stance, etc., they will say, hey, this is not me, this is toxic. But that's not toxic, it's just you are incompatible with it, okay? So just like leaders, when they are incompetent and incompatible to the role or with the role that they are fulfilling. And this is what comes across as toxic, but it's not toxic. Toxic is the wrong word, right? And it all comes down to that, or should all start with, or by the lack of understanding that leaders don't know what we want from them. And I have seen millions of examples where the leaders or the employees are so loud and vocal about anything that the leaders are doing, that now the leaders are scared of their own employees, and that they want to be nice. They are not having that uncomfortable conversation. They are not creating discipline. They can't even say anymore that, hey, don't be late for 5 minutes. So they let everything slide, right? Oh, I'm not gonna have this conversation, it's uncomfortable, so I will be accused of something, right? They avoid difficult conversations, and they lost the ability to discipline their team. Because the moment we tell employees, hey, this is how we do it, okay? And this is the time you need to show up in the office. Everybody, oh my God, I'm being bullied and harassed and my boss is toxic. So leaders put in a very difficult situation today, because at the same time, let me tell you, that employees are actually complaining about the exact things that are telling people, that they are telling about leaders, that hey, don't do it. Employees are complaining about lack of clarity over roles and responsibilities, rules, discipline, and competence amongst the team members. The most common complaint they say, my team members or colleagues are incompetent, and that makes my life very difficult and stressful. And you know what? I give you this because incompetence causes stress. Just like your leader's incompetence for the role that he or she is fulfilling, causing stress and frustration in you. So does that mean that employees are toxic too? There we go. There we go. Let's just think about it. So employees are complaining, don't discipline us, but the moment the leader steps back, okay, I'm not going to discipline, I will be nice, I don't say anything and hope for the best. And then immediately employees start complaining about the lack of structure, discipline, and all that. So doomed if you do, and doomed if you don't. So how shall we address these issues? I think we must see that is really all about managerial and leadership incompetence. And when we look at it from this perspective, the solution is quite easy, right? We need to develop competence. Self-awareness is key. This is where, employees and employers or leaders can see where they stand, and then based on that, customize, personalize the development plan, because you can't do a development plan of one size fits all. Please move away from that. It's never worked, never going to work, and just wasting your money. Second, we need to really eliminate this word from your vocabulary and communicate the required behavior to leaders and managers, so you employee people can help them to get better. But if you put on, your facade sometimes, so just, this is a toxic behavior. But when we ask you, what is it? What would you like your leaders to do? You give us not much. Let me put it this way. So it's not helpful. All you do is once again play the victim, but hand in your victim card. We don't really need that, and it's not helpful. And your option is sometimes, or most of the time, especially with the younger generation, I'm gonna go and find another job. How long are you planning to run? At what point are you planning to face the music and take a decision that, you know what, maybe I try to sort this one because I like to be here? When will that point come in your career? You know what, I'm not gonna run. Because I have been running and all I've done is job hopping, because everywhere I went is toxic or I didn't like it for whatever reason. Okay, great. Maybe the problem is with you, not everywhere. But let's say the problem is everywhere. Wouldn't it worth a try just to say, hey guys, can we get together? These are the things that, I would like to address. Can we change it? I really love being here and I don't want to go anywhere. And I guarantee you the response will be really good. I do that with teams, because believe it or not, people sit right next to each other and they just don't talk to each other. And when you bring them together and you force them, tell exactly what you want from that person, it's a difficult conversation because first of all, people never learned to talk about what they want. And when they say something, it's very vague. So we don't really know what to do with it. So you need to spend time to learn to verbalize and express what is it that you want from your leader, from your manager. And sometimes it's easy. Don't shout at me. Okay, fantastic. That can be. I would never support that. Stop shouting at your employees. They are not 5 years old children. Now, let's move on to the company culture. Because I see LinkedIn gurus, God help me with LinkedIn gurus. Please don't believe everything that you read online. Don't believe anything I say. Go and look for evidence. Is she talking nonsense? Ask that question. Maybe I'm talking nonsense. And maybe I'm talking something that's only from my perspective. So your job is to take it apart and examine. It doesn't make any sense. And if it doesn't, leave your comment. And I'm happy because this is how we move forward. This is how we change things. Now, so LinkedIn gurus, they love posting how to kill a company culture. And when I see this post, I always go, okay, if I want to kill something, I need to know how to, right? And if I need to know how to, I need to know the definition of it or what it's made of. And when you go online, company culture is generally defined by the shared values, attitudes, behaviors, and standards that make up a work environment. Now, common logic would dictate that it looks different in every organization based on factors such as people, the organization's maturity, the industry, the size, etc., etc. So if organizational culture is different everywhere, how can we make a list of how you kill it? Now, this is when I say people are intellectually lazy and they just buy everything that they see or hear. It doesn't make any sense. There is no such a recipe how to kill a company culture, okay? Because it's very, very different. Now, these gurus are very eager to sell you this idea, right? This utopian narrative of work is a pleasant place where nobody is stressed, everybody is nice, people don't get offended by the smell of food in the staff canteen or triggered by a look, and we can work from anywhere at any time. Now that is never going to happen, okay? And Gen Z, I love you so much, you know that. And you put these bloody videos online, misguiding everybody, but let's talk when you are in your managerial and director roles and when the department's performance depends on you and your ass is on the line. Let's see how lenient you are going to be, me not coming to the office only when I want to. I don't think that's gonna work out, lovely. But I'm supporting you. The workplace must change, but not the way we want, because we're going from here to there, one extreme to another. We need to come back in the middle somewhere because we still need performance, right? So we need to look at company culture. And when we are talking about culture, now pay attention because this is important. When we talk about company culture and toxic environments, right? We look at different things. Leadership is just one part of it, right? And we need to look at leadership quality in terms of competence. So let's part that aside because we talked about it. If the leader is not competent, that is going to create chaos. Now, is it toxic? Please don't use this word. It's incompetent, and that creates stress, unnecessary stress and frustration for everybody. It creates argument amongst team members. It creates a lot of problem, and it loses money for the organization. So that's real. Now, What these culture gurus fail to acknowledge that every culture is different and every person matches with a different culture. So normally there are 4 culture organizational culture types, right? Market culture, hierarchy, very process driven, very family oriented, which is the clan, where everything is about people, etc., etc. Now, if you put me, for example, I am from, my background is large organizations, so it's very process and market driven. So process, everything is structured, there's clear hierarchy, I know who to go to, and I always ask for the processes. This is the environment I can thrive in, because that tells me everything. Then it's also a market culture that is very competitive, because you must make money, right? Now, if you put me in these 2 environments, I will be fine, because this is my type. I like structure, I like rules and regulations and policies. I operate very well in systems, and I also like these let's work for the money. I'm the one who is going to work 15 hours if it's needed, and I'm very competitive in terms of my job with myself. I like to deliver, and I don't mind putting in the work. Now, put me in a small organization, okay, where you have this creative artist something up in La La Land. That's for me, right? Because I'm not like that, so difference is coming to the picture. And see what happens to me. How am I going to describe that company culture? I immediately say, these guys don't have structure, they don't think about the money, they don't want to work, everybody is just chit-chatting and need mentor and father figure and mother figure. I don't need any of them. I will say, this is a shit show, this is a toxic work culture, because they want me to go out after work every day for a drink or something. I don't want that. Now, I just gave you 2 extremes. You can fit me into these. But this is how it is. So when we talk about hiring for cultural fit, this is what we need to look at first. Not if Sylvia likes to have a slide or a foosball table in the office, or organic apples in the staff canteen. Nobody cares. What is your work ethic? Because based on your work ethic, based on your creativity, we know that we can't put creative people into large organization, process-driven and market-driven. Because processes and creativity, they just don't go together, right? So they would immediately say, you know what, this is a toxic culture. They don't allow me to do my creative thinking or whatever, create or bring change to the way we do things, right? And they will immediately, this is not my place. But it doesn't mean it's a toxic culture. So we need to be very, very careful. And I think the problem companies make is that they don't communicate, they don't set clear expectations. And I especially see that with startups, with smaller companies. I work with 3 of them right now together, and I work with a large one. Even there, I didn't see it. What is the expectation when I apply for the job? What is that? What can I expect? Is it long working hours, hard? We are very cutthroat. We go for the money. We are highly competitive, or we are very lenient, etc., etc. There is no. Or what is the leadership style? Here, we're going to tell you this is what you need to do. Here, my leaders, they swear a lot, but they're good people. They just swear a lot, and they have really weird sense of humor. So if you are a softie, you're going to get offended by everything that they say. We need to look at that. Because if you put me in an environment where everybody swears and, they are really sarcastic and make weird jokes, I'm up for it, because I love these kind of environments, right? Where nobody gets offended or easily offended. There is a limit for everything. When it comes to bullying, harassment, and discrimination, I will never, and illegal activities. This is the toxic environment for me. Not that you are swearing or shouting at me. You can do that. If I get fed up, I shout back at you straight up, and then we can settle our disagreement, right? But if you put someone into this environment who is not like that, that's going to be an incompatible environment. So when you hire people, this is what you need to look at, right? Because if you are too soft for this environment, it's going to burn you out. But also burnout comes from incompatibility. So we come back to one word, incompetent and incompatible, 2 words. So sometimes people are highly competent to do the job, but the environment is incompatible with them, right? Sometimes burnout comes from incompetence. We promote people into jobs and hire them. And then they struggle and they stress everybody else out because they bloody can't even book a meeting room without messing up like 3 times. And now you're getting, pissing me off and stressing me out. So now I am going to fight you. I'm going to make complaints about you. And now it's a stressful environment for both of us. So incompetence burns people out very, very quickly. But we are always going back to the same word, right? Incompetence and incompatibility. And it's not necessarily toxic leadership or toxic environment. Remember, an environment that is toxic for one, it can be an environment that other people thrive in, right? So a person in the wrong culture is not a toxic culture. A person in the wrong culture is incompatibility. A leader in the wrong job is not a toxic leadership. It's an incompatibility with that role. So when you make a claim or write about how to kill a culture, just finish it with for me, because everyone is different. Every environment is different, and every individual is different. What is good for you is not good for me, and what is good for me is not good for you. So eliminate the 2 words, or eliminate the 2 expressions, toxic leadership and toxic workplace and culture from your vocabulary, because it just doesn't exist. It's incompatibility. And if you look at it from this way, a lot of option opens up to you. Because all you have to say is, you know what? It's fantastic. It works for you guys, but I'm out. It's just not compatible with me. And whether it is the job, whether it is the environment, whether it is the leader, and the environment that the leader creates, right? But before you talk about it, before you try to address these issues, don't just run away. Stop running. Because believe it or not, people are very accommodating. People are very understanding. And I tell you something, most leaders want to do the right thing, they just don't know how to. Why? Because organizations let them down. We don't train them. I just talked about it. We don't train them. We just throw them. Here we go. Now you are, from tomorrow, you are a leader. You are a manager. And nobody knows anything. Even in my book, I wrote about it, The Corporate Kindergarten. I wrote about it, that we don't train people. And when we train people, we use the bullshit training of, team building training that has 0 value. Everybody's having fun for a day. But that's not leadership development. That's not learning and development. That's not talent development, right? So, remember, there is no toxic leadership, only a person in the wrong culture. And that's that. That's all I have for today. I hope it helped. Sorry, I'm a little tired, so I was very slow today in terms of my talking. But hey, this is one of those days. I've been working a lot, so which is good. But burning out, is it a toxic environment for me? Absolutely not. I enjoy it. but now I need a little rest. So this is what I'm going to do. I put all the links below, and abandon this nonsense of toxic workplaces and toxic leaders. It's just incompatible with you or incompetent, and that's that. And you can be incompetent too and frustrate the hell out of me. Bye.